Hi everyone, it's Chenso from Reality Art Pod, here to talk about the challenge season 39, episode 18, titled The Beginning of the End. Last week, the players competed in a log roll daily challenge that saw Berna skittering to a win and Windshell getting purged from the game. Later, Berna's safety chain left Olivia, Nerys, and James in elimination, where Nerys once again came out on top, sending the other two packing. The players went to the club to celebrate, where TJ showed up to give them some kind of news, ruh-roh raggy. Before I dive in, if you missed any recaps or are a first-time listener, I put a link in the subject to my playlist of my previous recaps, and consider subscribing if you like the content. So let's dive into it. We pick up where we left off in the club, and TJ tells them they're in the final. He says it'll be the hardest final of all time. Doubtful. Nerys reminds us that nobody's had to fight as hard as she has to get there. She's right about that. I thought they were going to start this hard final right there in the club, but no, the hardest final ever starts with them having gorgeous brunch in the morning with a freshly baked cake and letters from home. Emmanuel gets a letter from his girlfriend and they flash back to him flirting with half the house. For the most part, these letters are really sappy and boring. Corey breaks down getting letters from his family and he's happy that his dad is proud of him, which is nice. Colleen gets a letter from her mom and Berna gets one from her brother and is upset that she didn't get one for her mom, so she breaks down. That night, a full 24 hours after TJ showed up at the club, they finally head to the final. They show up to the hardest final ever, and TJ greets them just like he's going to a baby shower in his baby blue button down, very intimidating. TJ then goes down the line and one by one, in agonizing detail, explains their storyline so far. He says the final will be in 3 parts: Control, where they'll be working together, Chaos in pairs, and Conquest, where they'll be individual, and allegedly they'll go 26 miles, which seems like a lot, but we'll see how much time they have to rest in between and have cake. The Control challenge sees them all tied together, gathering ropes that will make up a big puzzle in the end put together. They have to get this done in an hour, or TJ says that $16,000 will be taken from the prize. They start off having to chug a tuna and beet shake, and this is just having them eat for no reason, and they all just throw it up the second they put it into their mouths, as the producers clearly don't care if you spit your food out as long as you performatively make it look like you're throwing up on TV. They start running, and Nerys thinks Berna isn't giving this her all. They search the crusty, dusty, musty-ass barracks for the ropes. They each have to get 3 ropes of the same color. Corey gets all the heavy orange ropes, which seem to be the heaviest, so he decides to leave first. The others follow behind and find out that Corey dropped a rope along the way, so they summon him to come back and get his rope. Jay is so mad at Corey, he spits out of anger.
Makes me want to spit.
At this point, everyone is annoyed with Corey, but he comes back with all the ropes, and they have 2 minutes left to spare, and they end up failing miserably and losing the $16,000.
You guys all did great.
You know, these challengers care a lot about their $16,000 they're losing now, but they didn't care about the money they were losing when they were throwing Big T to the Wolves a few weeks ago. TJ tells them that the first place prize is still $250,000, and the only thing affected is how much the runner-ups make, and he tells them that they're having an elimination right there on the spot, so they have to all vote to put someone into elimination. The majority of them vote for Corey based on the events of the day, including Corey voting for himself, but Emmanuel and Colleen vote for Nerys. Corey gets to pick his opponent and decides to spare Nerys, announcing that he wants to see a woman win if it's not him, and he picks Jay to go against. Jay says he's pissed that he couldn't play a perfect game.
Makes me want to spit.
The elimination is gathering 3 bags of puzzle pieces, then stacking them on a wobbly board. Corey is way faster than Jay to collect the puzzle pieces, but Jay plans to beat Corey in the puzzle. Corey gets to his puzzle first, and this puzzle really is very Survivory to me. The puzzle happens really quickly with Corey beating Jay.
He got sent in because he wasn't nice to us. The people that are left were used and abused by everyone else in the house.
And on his way out, Jay tells Nerys that she better win, and Nerys says,
"Karma's a bitch."
And this elimination really does feel like karma. So we have to say goodbye to Jay here, who comes into this season one of the more veteran players in the game. He's pretty well connected himself, and then he has Michelle, who's also really well connected. Through this, he's kind of on his high horse for the majority of the season, really just being a huge asshole to people that he was supposed to be working with, and even frustrating Michelle with ruining her best efforts to try and keep both of them safe. I think the best of Jay this season was when he was terrified of going against CT in elimination. You know CT does not want to be partnered with Jay in a future Rivals season, so he forgave and forgot. So we didn't get to see that rematch, wah wah. After that, he did the unthinkable and made an enemy out of sweet angel golden child Horacio, and really just became a big big villain in the house, losing Michelle, who was really helping him out strategically. And then here, Corey pulls him into elimination. I don't think Corey pulls Jay into elimination if Michelle is still there, or if you put a little bit more energy into his relationship with Corey. So for the most part, I think this elimination for Jay is pretty self-inflicted. Even in the end, he was so confident in his ability to beat Corey in the puzzle. Then he just didn't win. And I know last week I defended Michelle, saying I didn't think she'd get big backlash from this season and future seasons. I think Jay is going to have a lot of people coming for that ass heavy. So they move on to their chaos portion, where they'll be playing in pairs, and this chaos section was really boring because they play 5 rounds so they can all pair up together. Out of fairness, it makes sense, but I wish there was a way I could do a recap without having to talk about these rounds. The prize for the chaos portion is pretty mid because the one person with the best time just gets an advantage. In round 1, the pairs are Mariah and Berna, Emmanuel and Colleen, and Corey and Nerys. Mariah and Berna start off in last because apparently Berna hurt her groin. At the checkpoint, they need to untangle cage balls and then roll them down to a goalpost. Emmanuel and Colleen finish this first, followed by Corey and Nerys. Berna, who's hurt, is struggling, and TJ is horrified and disappointed at her, but they complete it. And I don't mean to rag on TJ, but she's obviously hurt, and he's looking at her like she's disgusting. The next pairs are Corey and Colleen, Nerys and Mariah, and Emmanuel and Berna, who's beside herself and apologizes to Emmanuel. They have to kayak out to find TJ. Berna and Emmanuel actually take off in their kayak and get to TJ first, where they have to do a tangram puzzle on the table. Berna and Emmanuel get it done first, followed by Colleen and Corey, and Nerys and Mariah time out. Round 3 pairs are Nerys and Colleen, Berna and Corey, and Mariah and Emmanuel. They have to do trivia and saw the rope of the correct answers. Colleen famously sucked at this challenge when they did it earlier in the season, so Nerys has to do pretty much all the work here. I don't see why Colleen couldn't help out more in this case. Nerys ends up hurting her hand doing the ropes by herself. On the second question, Mariah potentially gets hurt.
This vagina wrapped me.
But Emmanuel and Mariah finish first, followed by Corey and Berna, and Colleen and Nerys time out again. Round 4 pairs are Nerys and Emmanuel, Berna and Colleen, and Corey and Mariah. This is an eating challenge. They have to eat eyeballs, stomach, and jalapeno shots.
This looks like a turd.
Of course, there's plenty of shots of them throwing up. I think there's some folks who watch the show only for the puking. Corey and Mariah finish theirs first. TJ gets annoyed again, this time with Colleen for not supporting Berna, and Nerys and Emmanuel finish first, with Berna and Colleen timing out because Berna can't eat her turds, and Corey pukes his guts out into the sea. They get in their final pairs, Berna and Nerys, Colleen and Mariah, and Corey and Emmanuel. TJ mocks Nerys.
I'm over you, TJ.
I'm over you, TJ.
They have to chug another gross drink and then unwind bags on a post and balance their balls down a track into a box. This looks like a lot of fun. Berna and Nerys work well together and get it done quickly, with Corey and Emmanuel following, and Colleen and Mariah can't figure it out, so they time out. After all this effort, there's little suspense when Emmanuel wins the challenge. He really bodied most of these challenges. TJ tells Emmanuel that his prize is he gets to pick one person to go into elimination right now, and that's where the episode leaves off on a cliffhanger. I don't know who he'll pick. He might pick Nerys because he just voted for her, but I think there's a good chance he chooses himself. Corey just sent himself into elimination against Jay, so I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments, who do you think Emmanuel's gonna pick? Overall, I think this episode was pretty good for what it is. I think the challenge final episodes are usually pretty boring anyways. At least we got an elimination halfway through to keep the pace, and once they finished their little tea party in the beginning, it was pretty fast-paced throughout. I don't really think this is the hardest final ever yet. It looks pretty easy so far. I'm not the most active person, but I could have done all this. So we'll see what happens. Next week is the finale, and I'll be there next Wednesday to tell you all about it. Subscribe so you don't miss it. I'll see you then. Have a nice weekend. Bye.